Welcome to Mr. Moon has left the building. On today's show, we will be discussing, should West Ham sign Axel Disasi? Is Jarrod Bowen getting a bit of an unfair criticism from the West Ham fans? We'll be discussing, is the Great Escape on? And we will also be looking at the Bournemouth game and the upcoming game at Liverpool. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Welcome, guys. How are we all?
All good, mate. Very good.
Yeah,
All good,
mate. Thank you. Yeah.
It was a good weekend for West Ham this weekend.
Very good. Very
And,
good.
I asked on the reaction video, was it 2 points dropped or 1 point gained? And I think now we can probably say it was a good result, the Bournemouth result. Not the result that we want, because we obviously want wins, but it did bring us that point closer. The weekend worked out absolutely fantastic for us, really. And we're that step closer to the Great Escape. So we'll go into the Bournemouth game after, but the first up, I want to discuss Axel Disasi, who's been a bit of a revelation, I think, for us. And I will admit, I was completely wrong and thought he was exactly the player we should not have signed, actually. And has turned out looking very, very good. And actually probably caveat that with Hamadson coming in as well, both big decisions from the manager. He didn't bring Todibo in this weekend, kept Mavropanos and Disasi, and it was another clean sheet. So, Addy, we'll start with you. Would you like to see West Ham sign Disasi on the back of his 3 performances for West Ham?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a little bit early days, but he started really well. He started like he's always been there. Can only be impressed with how he's played so far. He looks really assured. And like you, I was one who, really thought it wasn't the right person to bring in. He hadn't played for, was it almost a year or something like that?
Yeah.
And I just thought, it's just a waste of time signing. But I don't know if you saw his podcast that he done, the Ironcast he done recently.
No, I haven't seen it.
It's a really, really good watch. And he said he comes across as a really good lad. He said he was basically working his nuts off, even though he wasn't training all the time with the first team at Chelsea and stuff. He said he was working his nuts off because he was just waiting for his chance. He was saying that his auntie lives in Stratford and is a West Ham fan. He come across as a really, really top guy who just wants to do well. And his performances, you can only be impressed with what he's done so far. So, I mean, at the moment, he's playing really well and he could potentially be a really solid permanent signing if he carries on like this.
Does anyone know if we've got a clause in our contract to buy an option, or is it where we didn't put the option in, and is that going to bite us now?
I'm sure I read somewhere that there was an option for about 15 million.
I mean, that'd be amazing.
Well, that would be, looking at things now, looks a great sign. Would be a great signing for 15 million. Where can you get a centre half for 15 million quid, really, with his experience? That quite incredible. What do you think, Gal? What have you made of Disasi?
Who would have thought a central defence selection headache? Who would have thought that a few months ago? And
2 weeks ago.
I thought he's been an absolute revelation, and I know we've spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, but the fact that he's come from no football to the level he's playing at, and he just looks so comfortable. I think it's fantastic. I know obviously we've got Todibo coming back now, but I think he certainly retains his place, and I reckon Mav, Disasi and Todibo might all start together on Saturday, back 5 potentially at Anfield. But no, I think he's been absolutely fantastic. I'm actually, I think I said, didn't I, previously, that I'm not really relating to any of the players, but he's come in, and I think he's, apart from Soucek, he's probably my new favourite. I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah, I don't disagree. What are you made of it, Mick?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's been a really good signing. And I probably wasn't on the side of you and Addy of like, no, he's the completely wrong person. I was a bit sceptical because of just the game time that he's had. But yeah, I've been really impressed with him. Really impressed with him. He just, as Addy said though, he's slotted in. Like he's been there for the last couple of years. Like, I'm really impressed with him, and I do definitely think that we should be looking to sign him permanently, because there was always talk, even before he went Chelsea, that he was a really big star in France before he went to Chelsea.
I just cannot be. I'm actually blown away, actually, of how someone can't have trained with the first team and be this comfortable. Like, no ring rust at all. Like, he should be making mistakes, really.
Yeah.
Because to not play that amount of football is, I don't know if there's ever a player that's ever done that, not played for a year and come into a starting lineup on the first game. Like, I can't think of one. Can you?
Lingard.
But he was playing, wasn't he? Still coming on as subs and still training with the first team.
I think Sterling
training.
did it over the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, there's another one. Yeah, he hasn't obviously played at all. But yeah, I think it's he has looked very comfortable. He's made our back line look very comfortable, which our back line was a big problem, obviously. We all know that. And as you said, Ad, no one thought a selection headache, and it would be Mavropanos causing that selection headache as well. And I really did think he would go for Todibo and Disasi at the weekend. I thought he would do it. He didn't. I think Mav had another good game. I thought, it's funny, I've seen very mixed reviews in this game, and we'll get to that in a bit, of a few players. One of them players, so let's finish this section off. Would we all say, as of today, would you sign Disasi permanently?
1,000,000%.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that as well. So hopefully it continues. Obviously, he's got Liverpool this weekend, and I think you could be right, Gal. We could go to a back five at the weekend, which against Liverpool. We've seen Nuno go like that in the bigger games, or it could be that five in midfield like he did against Man United again, which we've obviously seen that adaptation even against Bournemouth with Magassa coming in. One player, well, actually, I'm going to put this was two. I didn't say in the intro, but there's two that are dividing opinion a little bit at the moment. And Jarrod Bowen is definitely one of them that I've seen on a lot of fan sites getting quite a bit of stick. Do any of you think this is fair?
No, not really. I think the problem is, mate, I think he's set the bar so high for himself that he's almost expected to reach that as a minimum every week. And I think he's probably a victim of his own success, because his trajectory of where he's gone since he joined us and being an England regular now has a sort of set bar. But I also think as well, and I've said it before, I think the type of runs he's used to players making, we haven't got the quality to make those runs. So he might be passing some balls which seem like loose balls, but I think he's so good now that he's 2 or 3 yards ahead of everybody else. And I'll say that all day to defend Jarrod. So no, I think it is very, very harsh and a bit overcritical, really.
Does anyone disagree and think that Bowen should be getting stick at the moment?
I don't necessarily think he deserves stick, but I don't think he's at the level of where he has been over the last couple of years. But I don't just put that down to poor performances, like he's meaning to play poorly. I think the captaincy is weighing really hard on him.
You're right, mate. It's
I think it's really weighing hard on him. You can see, I saw it a couple of times in Bournemouth, and recently he tries to do too much with the ball. He's got past the player, instead of releasing and then going again, he's kind of trying to take another one on, then another one, and he's running into trouble. He's trying to do too much on his own, than actually taking that captaincy off of him and being like, just concentrate on what made you such a success for West Ham, which is just thinking about getting the ball, getting forward, getting in the box, scoring goals. Whereas he's trying to defend, he's trying to help the midfield out, he's trying to do his position, he's trying to do the striker's position. I just think it's the captaincy that's holding him back a little.
What about you, Ad? I feel you. I could see you, and I feel you're slightly going to disagree with that quite a bit.
What with what Mick just said?
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at your face then.
Yeah, no. No, I think a lot of what Mick's just said, I do agree with actually. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt at all that he's not on form at the minute, and I think that's going forward. He's not at the levels he has been. He's not. I think he's creating enough. He's not getting in those goal scoring opportunities enough. But having said that, I think his work rate off the ball is still exceptional, and he's probably doing even more now than he may have done previously. So he's working so hard for the team off the ball, and I don't know if that's that's detriment to him going forward, and he's just running out of energy. But he's
coming deeper, Addy, isn't he?
He's coming deeper. And he does look as though there's just a yard of pace missing from that sharpness at the start of the season. Now, there was talk that he's been carrying a knock, I think, from the Chelsea game. I think he had a late fitness test before that game. So that might have something to do with it. And, he might be just wanting to play because he's the captain, which wouldn't surprise me at all. But he doesn't look as sharp, and he's just, that quality's just not there at the minute. He is off form, but no one can doubt his determination and energy and effort for the team, and it's absolutely absurd that he's getting stick from the fans. It's just ridiculous.
To be honest with you, I quite strongly disagree with a bit of it, to be honest with you, because I actually do think he's playing at a level. Maybe it's a blind love that I have for Bowen, to be honest with you. I really, really appreciate, and maybe because I like the defensive side of the games, I really appreciate what he's actually doing at the back. And I think probably he's needed to do that in this team, maybe because we're not as confident. And is he doing a little bit too much on some occasions? Yes. But I think it also might be in a way that we're playing also, because we do sit back a little bit. Is that in his style? I don't know. But I see his commitment. I'm going to ask this, Catchy. When someone like Jarrod Bowen's coming under, I can't even think of the word, fire, with the fans, do you think this is a problem with our fan base?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, go on, mate. I was just quickly going to say, I don't know if it's just a social media thing, because I don't think any fan you actually talk to in real life is slagging off Jarrod Bowen. It's just on social media, and you don't know whether that's just to get more clicks, more views, and more that nonsense, just interaction with their pages and stuff like that. Because I can't see any proper West Ham fan really having a go at Jarrod Bowen for being a little bit off form.
And we just mentioned it there, obviously, the captaincy. And this has been a big debate over the last 2 years. Bowen shouldn't be captain. Who would you guys make the captain?
Soucek, personally. I would have Soucek in there all day. Or, dare I say it, Disasi. Can you have a lone player as a captain? Probably not, but
I don't think he's warranted enough to be a captain. Yeah, I don't disagree. Who would you make, Ed?
I think it's a tough one. I don't know if he's ready yet, but I think, Matty Fernandez would be the type eventually. I don't know if I think it's probably a bit too soon for him now, but I think he's a ready-made captain in waiting sort of thing. Soucek, I think Soucek's fine. And I think, everyone respects Soucek, and he does take that burden away from Bowen as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, for me, I would keep Bowen. I think he's earned that right in our team through his commitment, through everything he does for the club. He's arguably one of our best players that we've seen, over a long period of time for our club.
Last 20 years, certainly.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think,
and that's just taking not just Prague. You can't put Prague as that. That's the cherry on the top for me. But it's everything he does. His work rate is phenomenal. If you look at him compared to other right wingers in the league, you're not seeing Saka and Salah doing that defensive duty that he does. Now Saka does do it as well, but not to that level. and still performing at that level of goals and assists. I just think, I think the criticism of Jarrod Bowen from any West Ham fan is absolute idiocy, to be honest with you. I think he's kind of...
Agreed.
He deserves that level of respect for what he's done for the club. And I'll come to the next one then, because I saw it again after Bournemouth, the people hounding Soucek again. And I don't understand it. I really don't. I think he's been phenomenal since he's been back in the team. I think he gives us, I think he gives us a steadiness to our play. And again, he doesn't shirk any responsibility at all. Now, he's not that ball-playing centre midfielder. He's not that guy. But I think a bit too much is made over his passing. Because when I watch it, I'm like, this guy doesn't give the ball away every time he passes the ball. And if you believe fan sites, he does. And I don't know. I wanted to ask that. Mick, what's your views on Soucek?
I flip-flop with Soucek, if I'm being completely honest with you. I do flip-flop, but I must admit, I have noticed a difference in him when he's got legs around him, Fernandes. Do you know what I mean? He has to have legs around him. If he's not got that, and that's not just him. I mean, you noticed it when we had, for argument's sake, we had him and James Ward-Prowse in the midfield, how slow our midfield was. But having Fernandes in there with him, I think it massively helps his game. But then I also do think it massively helps having Soucek with Fernandes. I think they both really do complement each other really well. But I do struggle a little bit with him because I do think there can be a little bit more quality from him. But you can't fault his work rate, his work ethic. You can't fault him on that. Maybe you can afford a little bit of quality, but if he's got that around him, he doesn't need to have that, do you know, because he brings the other side of the game. Like he will bring you headers, he will get stuck in a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I do flip-flop a little, but I must admit I've seen a big improvement of him with having Fernandes there.
Do you think, and I agree with you there, Mick, he does need legs around him, without a doubt. That's without a doubt. Do you think by bringing Magassa back in and not having Pablo there, that's also changed the perception of him having two players with legs in Fernandes and Pablo, which they had bundles of? Did we see the best out of Soucek in them games?
Yeah.
So now, Potts and Magassa being there, where not that they haven't got the legs, but maybe they haven't got the, I don't know. Pablo's work rate is probably one of the best I've seen at West Ham for quite a long while. But are we struggling a little bit without Pablo? And is this the usual curse of West Ham, like West Ham signings?
That's like, I mean, I've been saying all season, we just don't seem to get any luck, do we, this season? And just when you think you've turned the corner with, a starting 11, settled starting 11, whatever. And one of the important players that have come into the side to change those fortunes around is now out for the foreseeable. We definitely, it's weird because obviously when, we've been saying that we don't know how good a player he actually is, but his work rate has proved invaluable for the team while he's been playing. And I think we've really missed him in these last couple of games. Just gives us that something else, doesn't he?
Yeah, I really agree. Yeah, I think we really noticed it with Potts and Magassa coming in. They're probably not at the level that he's actually performing at. And as I just said, I think also other players, I think we're seeing Fernandes not as influential on the game without them legs in there also. Because I think Fernandes needs them legs as well. Someone doing the dog work, so he's not doing all the dog work and can actually be on the ball a little bit more. So, I don't know. Where do you sit with it, Gal? The midfield at the moment?
Well, I mean, I love Soucek, don't I? I think he's fantastic. And I think we saw the best Soucek when Declan Rice used to do a lot of his work for him. So you're absolutely right there in terms of he needs that support around him. But I think if you know football, like we do, I think what you see with Soucek, he does a lot of the unglamorous stuff. He's not a poster boy type player, but he's always there to mop up. He'll break up the play, a little bit like Jordan Henderson used to do at Liverpool. He never used to get the plaudits ahead of the star boys, but I think he does a lot of the sort of dirty, hard yards, really. So I think he's been fantastic. Like you said, he needs legs around him. We haven't had a lot of that this season. It's very hard to replace someone like Declan Rice, and again, that's when he played his best football. But I think we're much better, and I think our starting midfield at the moment is really good. But as Addy mentioned at the weekend, it's our bench that lets us down. Right, we've got no impact players, and Pablo probably would have been the one to have come on and changed that game at the weekend.
Well, I think Pablo would have been a starter in that game. I really do.
Yeah, I think
maybe.
What do you guys think of Magassa?
I'm still on the fence with him, I think the worst thing we did, mate, was when he got man of the match and scored the equaliser up at Old Trafford, we dropped him. And then since that, he's never been any good, has he? Really?
Yeah, I do agree. And we all sort of looked at that decision as odd. Where were you at with Magassa?
Yeah, do you know what? I didn't actually watch the Man United game, so I think that was his best performance. But before that, I just thought he was quite pretty bang average. I must admit that his last couple of performances, I thought he's done all right. To be honest, I think he's on the weekend. I thought he was pretty solid again. But he's a decent squad player. I don't think he's pulling up any trees, but I think he's decent enough. I think.
Do you see any difference really between Magassa and Potts?
Maybe just the physicality. I think Magassa could probably get around the pitch a little bit more as well. And the physicality as well, but I think there's not huge. From in my opinion, I don't think there's a huge difference.
No, I don't. I'm with you on that as well. Something to discuss. Obviously, we brought in Pablo and Tati as our January forward signings, and they produced one goal between them in the league, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Tati has got two. No, he's got one.
Yeah,
one the cup. Yeah, is that enough? Was it good enough? Are they good enough? Because obviously, I think we'd probably all sit here and say we're happy with them two signings, but are they good enough in a relegation battle to keep you up, or are they just good workhorses?
Well, I think they've given us a lot of what we didn't have, which was running. I think we all sort of looked at them through sort of rose-tinted glasses because they were doing the hard yards and the leg work. But obviously they've come in as strikers, and in terms of creating and scoring, they're not doing that. And I think, whilst we've shored up the defence, we've now made it harder for ourselves to score now. So we're not maybe scoring as freely as we were, but we are shored up at the back and nicking the odd 1-0, 0-0, 1-1 type thing. So I don't know. It's a bit of a difficult one, but they're certainly not doing what they're supposed to do in terms of scoring and assisting. But, if it's not broke, don't fix it. We're doing all right at the moment. I'm happy to accept it's a little bit harder to score and picking up the odd point,
Mick, do you think it's enough to keep us up, them two? Well, obviously, we haven't got Pablo. Do you think, I suppose, we've got to look now as Traore's got to be in there as well, as our three forward signings, and La Madrid, but we kind of know that he's not going to be part of the first team squad really for this running. Were we let down with the signings?
Big time. I think we let down big time with the signings. And going back to that question before, I do think they're good enough, but we could do with someone else. Do you know what I mean? I don't see Pablo, especially with where he's been playing when he has started. He's not really been playing as an out-and-out striker. He seems to be that number 10 that drops into the midfield, and he links up with the midfield. I don't see him as a proper out-and-out striker, where Tati, I think, is the out-and-out striker. Do you know what I mean? But I do think we could do within the summer, if we stay up. Well, I think we will stay up, if I'm being honest. I do think that we need to go out and spend quite a bit of money in that forward area. And Traore, for me, he didn't even get off the bench last against Bournemouth. Do you know what I mean? And I just think, what a pointless signing he's been.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was watching the fan debate this week, and there was the lady, Nottingham Forest fan, on there. And she was kind of devastated that Nuno never got his way of signing Traore and saying that it was a player we need and things like that. Now, there's a pun in there about people speaking on football when they're not qualified to. But I did think you are some idiot that has never seen Traore play in the last 4 years, because for me, he is so out of his depth. It is unreal. He just doesn't offer anything to me. Ad, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just on that Traore, and I think that's why he didn't come on. I think Nuno actually went for it a little bit on the weekend, but to not bring on really our only real attacking option, I think says it all really. And I think that comes from the Manchester United game, because he took Somerville and Bowen off, and like Traore just wasn't tracking back at all. And he wasn't offering enough going forward either. So, yeah, for me, that's just a massive waste of time. I said it at the time, and, I still believe that. In terms of the strikers, it's a weird one, because I do feel they've come in and they've definitely improved the team, which, I guess essentially that's what we need.
They were bought in.
However, however, I don't think either of them are good enough. They're not going to score the goals out of nothing. The goals that win games out of nothing sort of thing, when it's really tight like it was on the weekend. So although they improved the team, which is brilliant and exactly what we need, and it's given us a chance and it gives us a chance, I still don't think they are going to give us that, that bit extra. I don't know if they're going to score enough goals in the Premier League. Pablo's only young. He's obviously got time to improve in that. And I really like Tatty, actually. I think his link-up play is really good.
Too.
He works his nuts off. I think he's technically very good, but he needs to score more goals. That's the problem.
Goal strikers are there to score goals. That is it. And he kind of reminds me of the couple of strikers they got at Everton, but kind of like Beto and and who's the other guy they got?
Yeah, what's his name?
Is it?
He's not there anymore.
Barry.
Barry. Robbie's at Brentford, isn't he? But I look at them two, Barry and Beto, and I actually think them two will probably score more goals than Tatty, weirdly. And I don't think they're good enough. So
no,
I wonder how long West Ham fans stick with a player who gives effort over production, because we're not patient.
But I think if we're doing well, we're winning. I don't think the fans won't really care at all. Do you know what I mean? But if we're not, then it's going to be a different story.
Yeah, I do agree. So let's get to the Bournemouth game. What do we think? I thought we done well. I thought we were very unlucky. Disasi, how the keeper kept that Disasi shot out after the first couple of minutes. I actually thought their keeper was man of the match. Not that we had loads of attempts or anything like that. I also didn't feel that we was ever. There was only one where the guy went down the right wing, actually, and cut in. He put it just round the post. He just caught the post or the back stanchion. Yeah. Where actually Tatty chased him back all the way as well. That was really their best chance, I thought. Again, I saw a few people on the Instagram having a dig at Hamadson saying that they would never have Hamadson in goal. I don't agree with that.
He's been safe as houses, I think.
But I also don't think, I kind of get it. He hasn't had to have that big save, really, that Areola seems to make probably a couple of them every week. But I don't know, he's that calls because he's safe, he's catching everything. He looks calm at the minute to me. Very calm.
Yeah.
Are any of you opposing that and would put Areola in over Hamadson?
I love Areola. I love Areola. I think he's a great keeper. But I was annoyed when he got dropped because I don't think he's done anything wrong to deserve to be dropped. In fact, I thought he was probably one of our best players for the last couple of months.
If not the best.
Yeah. But then, as you said, Hermansen has not put a foot wrong either. So it's, do you know what I mean? He deserves his chance and he deserves to stay in. I think he's been good.
He's growing in confidence every week, Hermansen, and I think as well he's good. He really holds on to a ball, whereas at times I've seen Areola spill it a bit, especially in some of these wet conditions. But when the ball goes to him, he feels safe. And is it any coincidence that clean sheets and that have involved? Maybe the defenders feel a bit more comfortable in front of him. You don't know what he's shouting to him and instructions and all that sort of thing. So
the performances were good leading up to that anyway. Do you know what I mean? And I did feel that we was going to start getting those clean sheets. But as I say, he's not put a foot wrong. So how can we sit here and moan about Hermansen? Do you know what I mean? He's not put a foot wrong.
It was bizarre, Areola getting dropped at that point of the season, when he's probably having his best spell of the season. That was bizarre. But Hermansen has come in, and I've really liked it. I don't think he's put a foot wrong, to be fair. I don't make any mistake. Handling's been really good. And you can see he's a different level when it comes to distribution and on the ball. He's so calm, and he's actually so good on the ball. It is like having an outfield player when they're playing it out from the back, and he's kicking. Yes, it's a different level to Areola, and he's done really well. So now he's in. Yeah, obviously you can't really,
and is that something? Because I think me and Addy probably agree a lot on Areola, because I don't think he's a great keeper, because of all the other things. And I think we look at the superb shots that he does stop, which is, and it's hard because what should the goalkeeper do? Stop shots, right? So, but I think it's the pressure he puts everyone else under in corners and in distribution that actually is his biggest problem. He flaps at corners so much, and is that breed panic that they haven't got that safe keeper behind them, that then they start moving elsewhere to cover a potential mistake. And is that part of it? I think that's probably what Nuno's thought. And that's what I think. And I actually think if we do stay up, the Hermansen coming into the team and obviously performing could actually be a big part of that, even though, and I also think, I'll caveat that with, I also think Areola should be highly praised for us staying up this season for his performances in that as well. It's really been a joint effort with them. I'll say both. It's very hard, because if you look at it as just shot stopping, but then I also think, is it because of his positioning or awareness that he's having to make them last-ditch saves? Yeah. Because when you look now, Hermansen hasn't had to do that once.
No.
He's catching them down the middle. He's catching and people say, but the defense is better now. But is it because it's the whole unit's better? I do think that.
Potentially it could be. Yeah.
It divides opinion, but I think, so Bournemouth, anything that there's not really much to say about Bournemouth. How did you all feel after the game?
I think I was a bit like you, Sam, insofar that I didn't know whether it was a 2 points dropped or a point gained. And I think that only really came out on Sunday. I'm going to say, though, I think it was 2 points dropped. And the reason I say that is because we've lost so many games that we absolutely should have and could have won, that although Bournemouth are a good side and we've got absolutely no right to say we should turn them over, the games that are that bit harder, the ones we need to be winning to make up for the Fulhams and the whoever else we lost to just before Christmas, So
Leeds.
Yeah, and Leeds, yeah. So I think it was 2 points lost, because I think they were there for the taking. We just weren't clinical enough, and we're let down, as Addy said, by the bench. So not a bad result, but I think we could have got more.
Yeah. Ed, were you there?
Yeah, I was there. Do you know what I think? And ordinarily, you look at that performance, you think, yeah, they played well today. They've done all right. Just wasn't our day in terms of finishing. It's one of those games, and we've done all right. But because we're in the situation we're in and we're looking at the fixtures remaining, that is one of the ones you mark as you've got to go and get 3 points in. So afterwards, I was, gutted because I was just thinking, like, we just need to win those kind of games because we haven't got too many of them left. But I thought the performance was fine, absolutely fine. In fact, I thought we'd done all right. But it's just that we're at the stage where we need to maximise every, real opportunity. And I feel that was one that we've missed.
And obviously, we'll come on to the weekend then. Obviously, relegation running. Forest, they battered Liverpool, to be fair, in a lot of sense. And then obviously had the goal disallowed, then won in the last minute, done us a massive favour. And then Spurs obviously went to Arsenal and got turned over. I watched that Spurs-Arsenal game. I couldn't believe the defending. And do you know what? I'm going to say this because I have so many arguments that I do not believe Van der Ven is a top centre-half.
Nah.
And I know people think he's a mix on a group with me where I say it all the time, and I think people think I say it to wind them up. He is out of position all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, his pace gets him out of trouble. And yes, he has got the pace, so that always will help him. Still there. But I look at him and I think this guy is the wrong side every single time. And I think there was a clip that came out of Tudor telling Van der Ven to push up. And Van der Ven completely ignored him, looked at the bench and just carried on where he was. But I don't, and that's obviously, this isn't a Tottenham podcast, but I just looked at their defending. I think Tottenham's defending is so bad. But what I will say is I don't think Tottenham are in this relegation thing. They have just played all their hard games. We have got all them to come. So we have got City, Villa, Newcastle, Arsenal, and Liverpool as 5 of our last 11. And we really need to pick up a result in one of these now. I think a draw.
I think a couple of them are winnable, personally. I think the Villa game is winnable. I think the Newcastle game is winnable. Newcastle have been terrible.
Newcastle haven't been, so that you could look at it as a winnable game.
We do all right up there as well, don't we?
Yeah.
Normally.
Yeah.
I think the harder ones are Liverpool. No, actually, I take that back. Sorry, Arsenal and City. I think Liverpool look quite poor. We could nick something. And I've had a feeling for a couple of weeks that we'll nick something up there.
Well, I've been nearly every year for 20 years to that game, Liverpool, West Ham. And I've never seen us win. And when we won 3-0, I wasn't there.
Don't go.
On Saturday, it's my stag weekend, my stag night, and I ain't going. So guess what? We'll probably
3-0.
win.
3-0.
So we'll come to that to finish up here today. What do we think, Liverpool?
Well, I've got to go with winning now. I'm not there, so I've got to go with a win. 2-1 West Ham.
Mickey?
Go on, Ed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 2-0 West Ham.
Mick, forever the optimist. Yeah, my head says a narrow defeat, but my heart says a 1-1 draw. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw, which would be, it's a good result.
That would be a good result.
Yeah. So I'll take that.
And I am going to also go with a 1-1 draw because it was funny. I was saying in my own head what I thought, and I'm going to go a 1-1 draw. I do think Liverpool are there for the taking. Don't know if we've got enough firepower.
Same.
I think he's also going to play quite defensive against them rather than a bit more offensive. And that's understandable in a sense. It's Liverpool, they're the champions. So you kind of go, I accept that as a West Ham fan on these games. So I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and I'd be very happy. But we do then need, what it's making is the group of games that are coming up: Brentford, Palace, Everton, Leeds. That group are all must win them, and that is very, very difficult to do. And I just don't know if we've got that in us to be able to do that in that number of games, to go and win that amount of games and not drop point, because we'll be looking at them then and say, right, we're in trouble. We're in bigger trouble than we thought. I think Forest's runs, I've always believed a straight shot with Forest. And I believe Forest runs a little bit easier than ours, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's the thing. They were improved against Liverpool. I thought they were a better team against Liverpool. But we got the point. We done it this week. We come out on top for once. Only a point, but we are edging closer. A win against Liverpool would be absolutely huge, obviously, for all reasons. But does anyone know if Forest play this week? Is it Palace? I don't know why that.
I think it might be Palace.
I'm just going to check right now.
I do think Spurs will go down, though, if I'm being completely honest. I think it'll be them.
You do?
I don't know why.
They've got Brighton away. Brighton away on Sunday, they've got.
Brighton away, that was it.
Hard game.
Yeah.
Then City at home.
Play Spurs. Fulham play Spurs.
Spurs have got a lot of those type of fixtures where they're not easy games. Do you know what I mean? And if you're not at it, you will get turned over. Like you'd fancy Spurs. Well, I guess on paper, not in a moment, but on paper you'd probably fancy them. But they're not easy games, and they're not playing well at all at the minute, and they've got a ton of injuries. So
yeah, but they will get players back as well.
Yeah, they will.
I think Spurs going down is absolutely unimaginable.
Listen, we'd all absolutely love Spurs to go down. At this moment, I can't even look into that because I'm looking at we need to stay up. That's all I can focus on at the moment, other than because us going down, I think it's going to be catastrophic. I really do. And it's a real, and especially if we're finishing the season in this sense, where we're picking up draws, and then you're just going to look and go, what the hell? And I think then you have to look at the manager as well at the beginning part of the season. But I think we're all happy with him at the minute, and he's doing well, and the team is improved, much improved. So we've got to just hope that we carry on. But we're going to finish it up there for the day. Ed, do you want to you got something to say just to finish it up?
I was going to say, I keep asking every 3 or 4 weeks if it means that last game of the season, playing Leeds to stay up, would we take it down?
Yeah.
I think we're staying up.
Didn't answer the question, Mick.
Yeah, I think
I will take that now because I think we'll go down. But I'll take that all day.
Yeah, I think I'll take that.
Straight shot with Leeds, who I think will be well safe by them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've got to. It's a home as well, isn't it?
I guess the reason I keep asking that is because that's what we need to get to, I feel. We need to just stay in touch and have that opportunity. Yeah. I think that could be our best chance this season. Well, we will see. West Ham fans, give us your views below. Make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe. We will be back. I will be back on Saturday with a reaction video after the Liverpool game. Let's hope it's an absolutely happy hammer one. And I will see you all later. Come on, you Irons. Come on, you Irons.